Let's go. Let's do it. It's nice to see you with a headset on. Great. Listening music. So, enough of this. I guess you want to know about what's going to happen in AI, in artificial intelligence, in your business. Well, first, let me ask you a question. Who has a smartphone with you? Show me your hand. Everyone, huh? And then, maybe the most important question of today, who is using chatbots, maybe some days, even today already? Who's doing like ChatGPT, doesn't matter, any Grok or any other? Many of you are doing that. Well, wonderful. What you see in this sector, in this business, is there are developments about artificial intelligence in many companies at many stages. This is something you can make photos all the time. I will give you especially when some things are important to remember. But this is what is occurring in your business, in your sector, in your activities. Artificial intelligence is entering the very core of your business, whether is it discovery of drugs or organizing the process or just answering important questions from a business part. But I want to warn you, AI is not a tool. I will repeat that. AI is not a tool. It's your competitor. It's building very quick, quicker than you can ever imagine. It's not something very small and that is growing slowly. It's making highly speed. While we are transforming our physical world into our digital world, this digital world is something that our machines are able to understand and to work with. And AI is the foundation of new organizations that are arising from the ground. They are not just one little thing we want to add to our activities. It's really rethinking the way we work and adding a new paradigm, which is much stronger, much quicker, and much more efficient than we today know. So, when I started this a while ago, 1991, working for IBM on artificial intelligence, we were thinking that the way artificial intelligence would grow would be exponential. This is not true anymore. Why? Because artificial intelligence is growing at a double exponential rate. Why? Because the hardware is growing at an exponential speed, but the software is also growing at an exponential speed, which means that those machines that are being created today using artificial intelligence are growing extremely quick. This is the new formula. This double exponential growth we are experiencing today, and what we see is very little part of what's going on. At that time, some new companies are arising among the existing ones. And I want to share with you a comparison with another sector. Just not only the pharmaceuticals, what I want to show you also is the way another sector, which is also regulated, strongly regulated, very keen on privacy, and even bigger than the pharmaceutical industry. We are talking about the financial industry. For your idea, JP Morgan is 800 billion of market value, which is around the same size as Eli Lilly. The financial market is 15 times bigger than the pharmaceuticals. The pharmaceuticals is about $1.67 trillion of value, of market value. And what is happening? There's a very big growth in the market. JP Morgan already exists for 161 years. So it's a long history for them, and they have been able to cope with all the developments of our society, development of technology, and being able to incorporate. But they are being challenged by new fintech. Those are organizations that are embracing technology as a basement of their new organization. And to give you an example, what is Visa doing today is giving each of you the possibility to have an AI agent to do your groceries. So if you want to buy a pair of shoes, you will go to Visa, or you will use an LLM. Based on the Visa application, it will look for the shoes you are looking for, the best price in the market. It will order it. It will pay for it. It will take care that it comes to your home. And it's not something of the future. It's something they are building right now and which will be available in a few months from now. So there's a very large difference between what we think is going to happen and what is really happening right now. Your grocery, forget it. You're not going to do that anymore because it's going to be much cheaper for you to use an AI agent. And much easier also. You don't have to do that. Visa is already 700 billion worth of market value against 800 million for an existing company like JP Morgan. But Visa is not that old. And even smaller companies like Stripe, existing today for 15 years, they have already a market value of many billions, and they are privately owned. So you see the difference in the dynamic of growing companies which are embracing technology and therefore growing very large and very quick. So if we make the comparison with the pharmaceuticals, I told you, Lilly, more than 800 billion of value. You've certainly heard of Albiwax, very young company, already worth billions of US dollars. So the reason is why? Why is this happening? Why? What is so important? Something you might want to take with you as a strategy to understand how you can cope with it and integrate that in your own business. So what are we doing? In our world, we are taking the human activities out of the business, trying to robotize everything, organize everything using machine. We are making a step from having a physical world and transform it into a digital world. We are doing that for already many years, so that's not new. Only now that we have organized a digital world, all the data, all the information is available for machines that are capable of understanding the meaning of this information, and therefore are enabling to bring new processes, new construction of organization to compete with the existing market. So what are so different from those new companies that are tremendously growing? What's the difference? Well, they are very innovative. They're always looking for new ways to do things. Second, they have a very important competitive advantage in the segment they are choosing. So, being able to be innovative, to be competitive, they are built from the beginning to be scalable. And you know, in a physical world, being able to be scalable is something difficult, especially if you have a fabric and you have to grow and grow and grow. It's not that easy. But in the digital world, if you have built something, you can easily scale your business. And the fourth thing, they have another mindset in terms of doing business. What they are trying to do and what they are doing is creating recurrent income. So they don't say, you can buy my services or you can buy my product for a fixed price for the rest of your life. No, they say, you'll pay a subscription monthly or yearly for the activities we provide you, adding value to their proposition in that way, but also ensuring they are going to keep earning money in the coming years and be relevant. So I help companies to build their own strategy in this transforming world. And I want to give you 3 things to take as takeaway for today. We don't have a lot of time, so we are trying to get to the core of what's important for you and for your organization. If you want to remember something, please take a picture of this. Those are the main topics that you have to remember for today. So, 3 things: data, T-shape, and health twins. Let's start with data. You may have a lot of data available in your company, maybe in physical form, if you're lucky, in a digital way, somewhere on a server or any other application. What is so important for you to do is take care that this data is well organized. Why? Because this will be the entry for machine to understand your business. So that's one thing. The other thing, you may have a competitive advantage because you have data that no one else has. If you have organized it in a correct way, I've talked already to a company here on this floor. What they're doing is putting those data into an AI model to create a model that is specifically dedicated to your own company, and therefore enabling the power of an intelligent system to help you evolve in your business. So organizing your data is a very important step in the way you're going to do your business. Third, T-shape. What I really see a lot is organization saying, okay, data is very important, so let's find a data analyst, or even if we're lucky, we find someone who is specialized in AI, and we're going to take that person into our business. Well, I can tell you, it doesn't work. And why doesn't it work? Because first, you may not be able to find them, because they are already asked by everyone. Everyone wants a data analyst in-house, or even an AI specialist. Secondly, if you are lucky to have one in your business, well, I can tell you something, it won't last long. Why? Well, he will be in your business, he won't understand your business, he doesn't have his peer around him or around her, so he's not talking to anyone, he's feeling lonely in your company. So it doesn't work. What is much better to do is another thing, another step, a clever step. You have very interesting and very clever people working inside your company, having knowledge of your sector, having knowledge of the activities you are doing. If you let those people understand what AI means for them and help them grow in their knowledge, how to use those activities of artificial intelligence, you are reaching out for 2 things. First, you are building up your knowledge in artificial intelligence. Secondly, you are making those people much more interesting for your business and much more interesting for themselves. So it's a win-win situation. So take care that within your own company, you develop the knowledge necessary to incorporate these artificial intelligence developments. Third, health twins. Well, I want to make sure that you understand very well what's happening. And most of the time, when I look at developments in a sector, I look at the financials, because they really give a good indication on which direction a market is moving. If you look at most of the activities that are taking place from all the organizations within the CPHI, we are working on medical treatments, making medicine or anything related to that. The expected compound annual growth rates, so how much is expecting a company to grow in the coming 10 years, is for this sector 6 to 7.7%. So this is what we can expect in this market for the coming year. This is the way financials look at your business and decide to invest or not. If we look at trends and changes in that trend, we see something very important occurring. Health activity. What we see shifting is people are much more interested not only in getting better, but being sure of being healthy. And that is represented in the CAGR for the coming years for this segment, which means people today are much more interested about being healthy than not getting sick or getting cured. We see a shift in that. This is not for nothing that fitness, high rocks, all those kinds of the events are getting much more related to growth. If you talk to young people, they are all interested about looking better. You look at social media, the focus is really on looking healthy, wealthy, happy. So that's the way going. That's why we can expect a shift going that way. If you look at the CAGR, the compound annual growth rate, and where is the highest expectation, 18 to 44%, it's artificial intelligence. And especially one part of it, which is robotic process automation. So, what are financial thinking? They think, okay, artificial intelligence is going to create a new ecosystem, a strong development in organization. But what are organizations going to do to incorporate this facility of artificial intelligence in their business? The first thing they are going to do is automate. Automate, automate. It means robots in production lines. It means applications that help the process that are normally done by humans to let machine do that 24/7, all the time, working on what we usually, as human beings, are working from 9 to 5. This is what the financial market is expecting. So we are going to be much more productive in the coming years, and we will see this shift from curing to becoming healthier. So, when we know that, what about the health twin? Well, if we think about shifting from curing diseases to getting healthier, it is very important and relevant to have data about that. And I'm going to show you the company in the world, which is one of the largest companies in terms of market value, and what they are doing with health twins. And what is an health twin? An health twin is a digital copy of someone's health condition. And I'm going to show you what they are registering already for more than 10 years of that data. I think you know this company. And I'm going to show you what kind of information they register and send from our devices, whether it's a smartphone or just a watch, to their server, register that. Those are the elements they are registering continuously and getting and gathering all the data they need to be able to work on this shifting from curing to being healthy most of the time. And when you see how many information they have gathered, it's about 1 gigabyte per person over all the users. It's enormous. So what we can expect is within the coming years, they are going to either cooperate with other organizations or even being able to develop new kind of applications, which will be a competitor to a market, because if people don't get sick because they're willing to be healthy, well, you know what's going to happen. Maybe it's a good thing, but it's something you have to think about as a challenging item for your own activities. So, I talked about data, the need of gathering information, the need to incorporate artificial intelligence knowledge within your own company, and I've talked about gathering data which has to do with health condition. And with those 3 steps, one thing you have to realize is when using data and when using artificial intelligence, you will be looking for quality of your data, because you don't want to build a model on data which is biased or irrelevant or not even accurate. So the quality of your data is very important. Second step, explainability, because all the rules that are going to be placed on our organization will have to be able to explain from your data, if you have an outcome, how did you come from that data to this outcome? The regulators will want to know explainability. It's something that is already occurring in the financial. It's something that is also occurring in the pharmaceutical. It's going only to be stronger. So you'll have to think about how are we going to do that. Third, compliancy. Because we all have to be compliant to the rules that are going to be developed. There are not many rules right now. There are two main items that are important in Europe and on a global scale about AI, but it's more about around AI, but it's not centered about AI. And the fourth one is ethics. So what I really want to challenge you about ethics is don't wait for regulation. If you are clever, you're going to work earlier with ethics to make sure that you have already in place what is needed to be competitive, but also reliable. So if you have done all this, and if you have understood all this, then I want you to take 3 questions with you. You can make a photo after I've shown you all the 3 questions to remember what is relevant. First thing you can ask your peers or your managers is AI a side project, or is it the foundation of a new kind of business we are going to bring into the market? That will be the first question. So it's shifting from AI as a tool to AI as a main component in your industry, in your activities. Second question, how are we going to capture this data? Because, you know, Apple has been very clever. They are capturing all this data for free. They didn't pay anyone to get my health activities. They also have all the acknowledgements to use it. Everything is incorporated in their policy. So they know we have the data, we can work on it, we can offer services, we don't have any issues with regulators. So that's a very clever way of doing business. And the third question you want to take with you is, are we going to be a rule maker or are we going to be a rule taker? And a rule maker, I mean by that, if you are thinking in an ethical way, if you are incorporating ethics and human kindness in the development you are doing for your organization, then you are already preparing the new era centered to humanity and not centered to technology or to rule. Because something that is very relevant to understand is AI is not learning on itself. AI is learning from human behavior. So if we behave kindly and we respect ethics, then the machine is going to be copying that behavior. So we are much more happy, or we are going to be much more realizing something that of value is for the future generation if we let machine copies behavior of us that are really showing human kindness. So, thank you very much. Enjoy your day. Enjoy the session. If you have any questions, you can contact me. With this, you will have all my contacts.